Imagine buying a brand new electric car, only to discover it was already registered and then deregistered in another country before it even reached you. Sounds like something out of a spy movie, right? But what if I told you this isn't fiction? What if it's the shocking reality behind a significant portion of China's booming EV exports? For years, the world watched in awe as China's EV sales figures skyrocketed. But a new investigation reveals a fascinating and deeply controversial tactic that's flooding global markets with what we're calling zero-mile used EVs. This isn't just about clever accounting. It's a massive government-backed operation that's reshaping the global automotive landscape and raising serious questions about transparency, trade, and the true state of China's EV industry. Buckle up, because we're about to uncover one of the biggest untold stories in the automotive world. So, how does this elaborate system work? It starts with China's domestic policies. To stimulate EV sales and achieve ambitious growth targets, local governments offer various incentives and subsidies to automakers. Here's the ingenious, albeit ethically murky part. Instead of waiting for a consumer to buy a vehicle, some automakers are registering brand new EVs with a Chinese license plate as soon as they roll off the assembly line. This immediately counts as a sale in the official statistics, allowing the automaker to claim those lucrative government incentives. But here's the twist. These cars often accumulate 0 or very few miles. Almost immediately after registration, they're deregistered, stripped of their new car status, and controversially reclassified as used vehicles. This reclassification is crucial because it allows them to bypass certain export restrictions and access a government-backed gray market for export. These zero-mile used EVs are then swiftly shipped out to countries like Russia, Jordan, and various nations in Central Asia and the Middle East. And who benefits? Everyone involved, it seems. Local governments hit their economic targets. Automakers log revenue from these phantom sales, and the exporters themselves pocket a handsome profit. Reuters reported that in 2022 and 2023, exporters could earn around $1,400 in profit per car, having purchased them for roughly $5,400 on average. This isn't just a loophole, it's a meticulously crafted system. You might be wondering, do the Chinese authorities know about this? Absolutely. In fact, they're not just turning a blind eye, they're actively facilitating it. A Reuters investigation found that at least 20 local governments across China, including major export hubs like Guangdong and Sichuan, have been quietly backing this practice since at least 2019. Why? Because these exports are deemed vital to meeting ambitious targets for economic growth set by Beijing. Local policy documents and state media articles openly describe their support. This isn't just about rubber-stamping paperwork. Governments are going the extra mile by creating additional licenses for these exports, fast-tracking tax rebate claims, investing in export infrastructure, and even funding networking events to encourage this trade. Some cities like Shenzhen have even planned to expand their support to reach ambitious annual vehicle export targets, justifying it by claiming these exports drive domestic sales. It's a fascinating, complex web where local economic ambitions intertwine with national targets, all seemingly at the expense of conventional trade practices and potentially the perception of new cars. This whole phenomenon brings us to a fundamental question. Does China have an EV overcapacity problem? If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it just might be a duck. Despite the extraordinary measures taken to meet sales targets, not all Chinese automakers agree on the existence of overcapacity. Take Parker Shi, who leads international operations for Great Wall Motors. In a 2024 interview with the Financial Times, he dismissed overcapacity as a fake concept, arguing that car companies often design factories with capacity beyond immediate needs for good business. He stated that factory utilization can vary, and a lot of countries' official statistics are all wrong. However, this sentiment isn't universally shared. Other major players like Geely's founder Li Shufu have been more candid. When discussing the fierce EV price wars in China, Li Shufu openly acknowledged that the industry is currently dealing with serious overcapacity. This divergence in opinion highlights the tension within the industry itself. Is this export scheme a strategic move to conquer global markets, or a desperate measure to offload surplus production? While China has been practicing this export scheme since 2019, the rest of the world is starting to catch on. The countries receiving these zero-mile used cars are increasingly aware of what's happening. In 2023, Russia effectively banned brands with official distributors from importing these vehicles. Jordan is also looking to combat the influx by tweaking its definition of used cars. Part of the reason for the crackdown is the growing popularity and perceived unfairness of the scheme. When ordinary people, even TikTokers and mom-and-pop dealers, start profiting from this arbitrage, governments tend to take notice. Industry consultants view this practice as a clear attempt by China to dump heavily subsidized vehicles overseas, especially since major markets like the US and Europe have become cost-prohibitive due to tariffs. This forces automakers to scramble for new markets to keep meeting their export-inflated sales targets. This raises critical questions. How many of China's reported EV sales are genuinely new cars sold to domestic consumers, and how many are inflated figures due to this export scheme? The fear is that the market's actual take rate is significantly lower than publicly stated, creating a potentially misleading picture of the domestic EV market's health. Ultimately, while this zero-mile used EV strategy might offer short-term gains and help meet sales targets, what is the long-term cost? If China aims to genuinely break into new international markets and build lasting brand loyalty, operating in such a gray area isn't going to win it any awards. It risks eroding consumer trust and potentially inviting stricter trade regulations from countries feeling the impact of what some might call unfair competition. This phenomenon is more than just an interesting loophole. It's a testament to the intense pressures within China's booming EV industry and a fascinating case study in how global trade dynamics are constantly evolving. What are your thoughts on this zero-mile used EV phenomenon? Do you think it's a clever business strategy or a problematic trade practice? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this deep dive insightful, please hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe for more in-depth analyses of the global auto industry. See you next time.